Pokemon Legends Arceus is a game that I wasn't a huge fan of. Despite making some quality of life improvements to the accepted Pokemon formula, I left that experience feeling overall disappointed. The main causes for that were the emptiness of the world, the story's failure to engage me, and the overall dated and flat look. At the end of my review of that game, I said that despite all of that, I would still get the, at the time, unreleased Generation 9 of mainline Pokemon games, and I offhandedly commented that they would be ass, but I would still buy them. Flash forward to November, and I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I bought Pokemon Violet. I was ready to be disappointed, because I didn't think that they were going to pull off an open-world game very well, given the shortcomings of Arceus and the comparative blip of time that existed between Arceus's release and this one's. But still, despite the memes I saw about the game's performance issues, I created my little Pokemon Savant, I named him Kebab, and I sent him off on his adventure with Sprigatito. 36 hours later, I was done with Pokemon Violet, stopping at the conclusion of the story when the characters returned from Area Zero, and overall, I was thrilled. I loved it. I thought it was a great game. I'd been jotting down notes for this eventual video, and I even penned myself a quick script that was essentially just a glowing review of the game. One thought was on my mind upon completion. What's the other version like? Based on how the game ended, I thought that there must be some tangible differences between the two versions, for once. Differences outside of version-specific Pokemon, legendary box art, or in this case, your bisexual preference of Pokemon Professor. MILFs or DILFs? What do you prefer? This series for literal children has you covered. So ordinarily, I don't get both versions of Pokemon games, because I'm a smart boy. I see it as a smidge scammy and scummy. It's like, you know, you're not going to swindle me, Nintendo. I know what you're trying to do. You know, you can come out here and say, oh, we just want to bring people together. You can trade the Pokemon that aren't in the version of the game that you got. Nice try. You're just locking specific Pokemon out until a threshold of price has been met. You can eat my foot. But, because I'm an idiot, and that I happen to steal $60 from a chessman that's in the throes of a nasty cocaine habit, I also bought Pokemon Scarlet. And I thought there were gonna be story differences. I thought the game would actually do something with the future versus prehistoric dynamic they were running with. It doesn't. Of course it doesn't. They barely had enough time to make sure that all of Paldea had collision detection. Did I really think they were going to do anything more than change the name of the school that you go to and the color of everyone's pants? And yet I soldiered on. I created my second Pokemon Savant, named him Barbecue, and set him off on his adventure with Fuecoco. 26 hours later, I returned from Area Zero. So after 62 total hours of Generation 9, I think I am uniquely qualified to respond to myself. Are these games ass? Well, in my original set of notes that I jotted down, I was practically glowing about these games. I think there are some significant positives, but the more I've thought about it, the more I've realized that perhaps my fandom has resulted in some hand-waving towards certain issues that I would skewer other games for. There is a word for people like me. Mark. It's Mark. I am a mark for Pokemon. But, despite that, I will do my best to be objective and critical, and I think the best way to do that is to start with the negatives. This one's pretty easy. You've probably all seen the memes or seen at least one compilation video of all the hysterical bugs that exist in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and it can't be denied these games chug. In many ways, they are unfinished. I may have thought that Legends Arceus was, empty and bland, but you know what? At least the game worked. You could go anywhere at any time and not feel like it was a gasp away from death and being handed a pack of Newports. I ran into my fair share of glitches and bugs while playing Scarlet and Violet. None that would really be meme-worthy or ever go viral, but they were still noticeable. I never personally fell through the map, but character models would often disappear on me. If I caught a Pokemon in the water, there would be like a double image of the Pokeball, which always looked terrible. But what stood out to me in both of my playthroughs of Scarlet and Violet were just the overall performance issues. I ordinarily, I don't care about frame rate. Like, my shitty broken eyes can barely tell the difference between most FPS rates, unless they're this bad. If you go anywhere in the game where there are non-Pokemon NPCs walking about, like especially city areas, it's just like so bad. Like, the character models don't even look like they occupy the same 3D space as you. They look like their frame rates are so low, it looks like they're walking through Jell-O. The more I've thought about Pokemon Legends Arceus, the more I've thought of it as sort of a proof of concept. But if these two games were supposed to be what that concept was intending to prove, well, it feels like proof of concept part 2. For some reason, they took out the real-time catching mechanics, which is one of my favorite aspects of Legends Arceus. You still have the ability to crouch, to hide, but it serves no purpose anymore. Your protagonist in Scarlet and Violet is invincible. You could jump off of the highest peak and your cell phone is going to save you from becoming splatter. Like, I miss the ability to just bring up an aiming reticule and toss a Pokeball to catch a Pokemon without having to battle it. It's a great time saver. Now, I like the auto-battling system that they have in here now, but even that feels incomplete. Like, if you get too far away from your traveling partner Pokemon, it just despawns. And it's like, you get too far away, it's not even really that far. It's like, if you're a few paces ahead of your Pokemon who's auto-battling, it'll just go back into its Pokeball. And sometimes it will stare down Pokemon and not even go near them. Like, you'll have to press the R button numerous times just to try and aim your guy so that they'll charge in the right direction. It's just really silly. And then you get to a point where the team of 6 you're trying to build up so you can beat the Elite Four and the champion and get on with the game becomes too strong to catch most Pokemon that you're going to find. And the way the open world is designed, you're going to run into a lot of lower leveled Pokemon, and then the challenge becomes, what is the weakest move I have that will do the smallest amount of damage to these significantly lower leveled Pokemon so that I can still catch them? In those instances, I'd rather just throw a ball and catch a lower leveled Pokemon, which is how it should be anyway. I mean, at this point, I'm the Pokemon League champion. I've saved the world. Is this level 22 Almamola really gonna burst out of an Ultra Ball because I didn't damage it first with my literal level 70 Fire Crocodile? Well, Chris, you really shouldn't do that, should you? Because water moves are super effective against fire. Well, not to worry, because we have a brand new gimmick that takes care of that. I joke, I actually really like terastallizing. Step aside, Gigantamax and Z moves. We don't need you anymore, because now we got terastallizing, and it's way better than either of those things because there is actual strategy involved now. All Pokemon in Paldea have their regular type configurations, but they also have a Terra type. Early in the game, you're given an item called the Terra Orb, and it allows you to crystallize the Pokemon and make their Terra type their new dominant Mono type. So, if my Fire Ghost Crocodile has an Electric Terra type, I no longer have to worry about that level 22 Almamola being super effective against it. Unless it happens to know ground moves, but seriously, you think this thing knows Earthquake? Not a chance. Fuck Almamola, by the way. I used it as an example of a shitty Pokemon that should just be... I should be able to catch any leveled Almamola with a Pokeball. No damage run. One of my favorite things about terastallizing is how often you can use it. Unlike predecessor gimmicks that could be used once per battle, you have to go to a Pokemon Center in order to recharge your Terra Orb. And I like that so much better, because, you know, in the past I never put more than 15 seconds worth of thought into my strategies for Pokemon. And, I mean, I really don't have to. I mean, I've been playing Pokemon for about 25 years. I got a pretty good idea what I'm doing. Mostly. I tend to ignore a lot of stuff still, like, you know, nature's EVs, abilities, base stats, shiny harvesting. I don't know what half of that shit is, and I don't care to. What I do want to learn about is the world of Paldea. I want to explore. One of my biggest issues with Pokemon Legends Arceus was that the world felt incomplete. It felt empty. It felt bland. And Paldea feels, bigger. There's a lot in it, Like, there's a lot of tasks to complete, and they can be done in any order, which is appreciated. There's a lot of Pokemon to catch, but the world itself still feels flat. Oh, not literally, of course. I mean, the terrain certainly isn't even. It's like, but that's all there is. It's like they took a terrain deformation tool and just adjusted things at random. Like, okay, these valleys are gonna get water, these ones will get dirt, and everything else gets grass. Throw in a few weather biomes, too. Like, it's icy over there, it's desert over there. It's like if it were sunny and 90 degrees in Manhattan, but there's a blizzard in Hoboken. There are more cities that you can explore, but there's not really much to see in each city unless you want to see people walking at 2 frames per second. You got a couple of shops that are there for very limited accessorizing. You see, being a school student, you're forced to pick from only 4 different uniforms, so I hope you really like wearing either orange or blue pants and shorts, because it's all you get. Tops and bottoms cannot be altered. The only things you're allowed to change in terms of accessories for your character are hats, glasses, shoes, socks, and backpacks. I should be able to dress my avatar up like a complete weirdo if I so choose. Kebab and barbecue would not adhere to these uniform rules. I want to dress up like a luchador. Like, you got Team Star, I want to dress like them. I don't care if they're the antagonists, they're fun. The games break the usual Pokemon narrative into 3 different segments. You can tackle the gym leaders, you can battle the Team Star bosses, or you can take on the Titan Pokemon, all while following around one of the friend/rival characters. And I really enjoyed all of them. For the first time in a long time, I felt like the rivals were actual, like, friends of the main character. Like, they had a reason for being there. They didn't exist solely to get ganked. Now, Nimona may have churning concrete between her ears, but I thought she was great. She wasn't just some gormless optimism monkey, a plucky dipshit, or just, you know, a kid that happens to be there. I thought Arven had a wonderful arc. I like how he connects to the main narrative. His story with his partner Pokemon is genuinely touching. And then you have Team Star, which is probably the most relatable team the series has ever had. I loved them. The group felt like they were, you know, friends. They're not just a bunch of burglars or fascists or terrorists. Like, they're a group of outcasts. They put Team Star together to lift each other up. They used more than just 4 Pokemon between them through the entire game. They were friends with each other, and that's such an important thing to me, that they cared about each other. Like, I really appreciated that. I kind of just want to play a game where they are the main focus. I'd love to just follow their adventures. And as I said earlier, I love their designs. I love most of the designs, actually, which is why, again, I'm sad that there aren't more customization options for my avatar. Like, how can you have the perfection of Rika, Iono, Grusha, Larry, and Mela, but not allow me to dress similarly? But when it comes to designs in a Pokemon game, obviously the most important thing is the Pokemon themselves. Every generation has had some duds, but there are some real winners in Generation 9. That department absolutely killed it with this version of the series. Like, the starter lineages are fantastic. I was a big fan of redesigns of older Pokemon for this gen. Wooper, Clodsire, Toedscool, Wiglet come to mind as real standout. I love some of the brand new Pokemon like Doxbun and Grafaiai and Citadel, which is a baby fucking Wheeljack. Among countless others that were really good too. I was a big fan of the legendaries. In previous Pokemon games, they served as nothing more than just like a far-off reward, like, congratulations, you beat the game, now go get yourself the box art Pokemon to denote the fact that you're done. And that's not the case here. In Scarlet and Violet, Koraidon and Miraidon are with you right from jump. Like, they are built up throughout the adventure, they're with you from the beginning. You don't battle using them until the very end of the game, and when you do, it hits a little differently because now it's an actual moment. Like, it's a character moment, which I really appreciate. I appreciated a lot about these games, to be honest. In some ways, they feel like a true step forward. It excites me for the future, knowing that there's still so much that can be done with this franchise. But on the opposite token, we've been doing this same song and dance now for a quarter century. Why is a game in this state being released? How have we not evolved? Clever boy am I. I said in my Pokemon Legends Arceus video that there's no reason why Pokemon should look as bland as it does. Art and aesthetic matter more than pure fidelity. I stand by that always and forever, but it should not look this flat. Other open world games are putting it to shame on the Switch. So, yeah, with the amount of money this series rakes in, there shouldn't be this, like, poor quality in terms of visuals. They can't keep rushing them out the door. Just please spend some more time on it. The next generation of Pokemon is going to be Generation 10. That's an important number for a base 10 species. And we're base 10 because we got 10 Whittlefingis. Just, you know, expand on what exists. Make it better. Streamline things. Design a world and optimize it so that it's ready and working on day one. But of course, a lot of Pokemon fans have already waved away a lot of these issues, saying it's just a part of the charm. I don't feel right doing that. And I mean, even though I almost did it myself, I can't in good conscience do it because this series makes way too much money for it to be so poor. Like, it should not be this poorly optimized. Like, it's not like this is their first attempt. They've released 70 shit billion fucking Pokemon games. They should not be this bad. I love Scarlet and Violet. I really think a lot of aspects of them are great, but I also think they're kind of ass. So I was right. Again. Because I'm often right. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Links in the description will take you to my socials, books, and webcomic. Check them out. Support me if you can, love me if you must, and have a wonderful day.